So, so thank you guys all for joining us. I am actually the managing editor for the Scanner News Magazine, but I'm not going to go too much into detail about that. I'm just going to really talk a lot about the journals. Those are the more complicated of the two. So thanks for taking time out of your evening and being willing to talk about these things and your interest in writing. As you read an article in one of ASRT's publications, you might have thought how you'd like to see your name in print as the author of the manuscript, but didn't know where to begin or how. This presentation provides an overview of the publication and writing process so that you too can become an author. Writing can be a daunting task, and when you're thinking about not only writing but also publishing, it can be downright overwhelming. This presentation will demystify the publication process and provide guidelines and tips for writing a manuscript for potential publication. Hopefully, it will also give you the knowledge and confidence to begin and finish a writing project of your own. At the completion of this presentation, you'll be able to identify opportunities for publication in the ASRT publications, discuss the history and purpose and process of peer review, explain the role and composition of the editorial review board, identify parts of a scholarly manuscript, describe the writing process, understand the role and purpose of an institutional review board, should be editorial review board, I apologize, and summarize the strategies for revising a manuscript. There are many reasons for publication, but one of the most important is to grow the body of knowledge. For this profession to grow and evolve, it is essential that our body of knowledge continues to grow. And also, there's a great sense of satisfaction from being published. It can boost your career and much more. Before you get started, before you get started on any writing project, consider your topic and the audience of the publication. The author you should reach out to potential publications to see whether it's appropriate for the topic, review the guidelines needed, and follow those to submit to that application or that publication. ASRT offers several publications authors can consider when deciding where to submit a manuscript for publication. The ASRT Scanner, Radiologic Technology, and Radiation Therapist are publications that offer excellent venues for publishing. Here's a little information about our team. I have these. Let me see if I can get the, I wanted to put these in the chat so you all would have them. But now that I'm sharing, I'm getting, my screen has just changed in every which way. So I'll do that after I'm done with the presentation. I'll give you guys some helpful stuff. But just for now, this will give you a little bit of the lay of the land of what we're going to talk about. ASRT Scanner is the official member news magazine, and that's what I cover. It's published bi-monthly and mailed to ASRT members, and it's also available online. ASRT Scanner has articles about the society, the radiologic technology profession, and other articles of interest to radiologic technologists. The Scanner editorial team is eager to work with members and authors. Articles of Scanner are not peer-reviewed and are usually on topics of interest to many technologists. If you're not sure whether your idea fits in this magazine, email me at lross@asrt.org. I'll put that in the chat later too. Columns are short and snappy, so if you have an idea, don't hesitate to email me. ASRT also publishes two peer-reviewed scholarly journals, Radiologic Technologist and Radiologic Technology and Radiation Therapist. Radiologic Technology is a bi-monthly journal that covers areas related to the diagnostic imaging and radiation therapy profession. The journal has been published since 1929. Radiologic Technology contains peer-reviewed articles, short reports, and department articles. The Radiation Therapist is published twice a year and sent to members who select radiation therapy as their membership preference. Radiation Therapists focus on all aspects of radiation therapy, includes peer-reviewed original articles, short reports, and department articles. Both scholarly journals offer potential authors a wide variety of choices for publication. Even though I'm the Scanner editor, I'll be talking mainly about publishing in the journals here because it's a much more involved process. Professional journals serve an important purpose for the profession. They are historical record. As new research is conducted and published, journals keep tabs on that research. It can later be critiqued as practice changes or advances. Professional journals provide a forum to relate new facts and information that are relevant to the profession, allow professionals to have access to new or emerging trends or information that can be applied to practice. Each time a peer-reviewed article is published, it contributes to the body of knowledge for that profession. The body of knowledge for a profession can only grow through contributions of professionals. And the professional journal also helps maintain the identity of a profession. The content is published in a journal helps define the process by identifying research that is appropriate. There are 3 types of articles published in the ASRT scholarly journals. First, there are peer-reviewed original articles. These articles include original research, case reports, and systematic reviews written by members of the profession. They're reviewed and accepted by the Editorial Review Board, or ERB, and we'll have more on the ERB later. The second type is short reports. These articles are shorter than original articles, and they go through a less rigorous form of a peer review process. And the third type is department articles. Department articles are typically commissioned and reviewed by ASRT editorial staff. So short reports, if you're new to writing, a short report would be a good first step. They're shorter and they'll give you experience and confidence within the publication process. They cover a wide range of topics, are 600 to 3,500 words long. Anyone interested in having their manuscript considered for publication as a short report can contact a journal editor directly. We'll also have those if you guys are interested. Just tap any kind of questions you have or make notes of what you're interested in. I'll get you the information you need. If you're unsure about whether your topic's a good idea or idea is appropriate for a short report, discuss it with the editor in advance. These articles present new information about technology, safety in the radiologic sciences, department management, professional growth, patient care, basic practices, and procedures to refresh technologists' skills. A specific disease or issues of concern to the profession can also be included. Image acquisition and processing troubleshooting tips, and new medical imaging or radiation therapy books. Writing a book review is often a great place to start writing for the journals, which is also included in the short reports. For peer review, there are 3 basic types of manuscripts. Original research articles, there's a quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method studies. Those pose a research question and then data is collected and analyzed to answer the question. Case studies present information about unusual or challenging cases. A case study will outline a patient's demographic information, medical history, procedural information, treatment, and outcome. And a systematic review manuscript will analyze previously published research on a specific topic. These peer-reviewed articles are published in the scholarly journals, and they have the most guidelines for authors to follow. So they are quite complicated, but also rewarding, I've heard. So what does peer review mean? Peer review process is used by the scholarly journals to evaluate manuscripts before they're published. After a manuscript is submitted, it's sent to a group of scholars and experts to review its quality, appropriateness, and value. This is intended to identify research that's flawed, irrelevant, misrepresented, biased, or otherwise unacceptable for publication and keep quality high. In addition to the peer review identifies weaknesses in the research to help the author improve before publication. They're generally considered more favorable when they go through a peer review process, which is helpful for your resume and also, just open future prospects for writers. ASRT scholarly journals use editorial reviews, ERBs. This is the part where we go into that a little bit more. The reviewer's comments to authors are anonymous, and only the author sees the comments when they're submitted. So they don't know the identity of the reviewer and vice versa. Each of the scholarly journals have their own ERBs. So you'll be dealing with different individuals on each of the scholarly journals. should you choose to submit a manuscript. The members have a wide range of experience and expertise in the radiologic sciences and are authors themselves. They know how it feels to be on the other side of a peer review process. When reviewing a manuscript, ERB members should provide a thorough evaluation of the manuscript with clear and constructive feedback for the author. They're expected to be honest and disclose conflicts of interest as well. So the ERB is selected from ASRT members, and anyone who's interested in serving on the ERB can write the chair of the appropriate journal and express that interest. The term is 3 years, and the ASRT Board of Directors appoints the ERB chair for each journal based on recommendations from the ERB. So to submit a manuscript, there are a few important URLs here. And if you go to the ASRT.org publications URL, /publications URL, you'll find most of this information. And it's a really helpful place to kind of just do one-stop shopping. The manuscript submission process to the ASRT scholarly journals is done electronically. These websites contain a wealth of information about writing for Scanner also. You will return to the submission site. You can see the status of your submission throughout the entire process. After completing the steps for electronic submission, the staff will receive a notification of the submission. The author's names, institutions, and other references are redacted, and the ERB chair will then review the manuscript to determine whether it should move forward in the review process. At that point, they're going to assign at least 2 reviewers, and any of them any who have a conflict of interest or other obligations can recuse themselves from being a reviewer. And then they have 1 month to complete the review. So it can be a 6-month to a 1-year process. So we'll kind of go over all the steps in the process a little bit in a little bit. The reviewers who are chosen use one of the 3 checklists that are available on the asrt.org/author guide website. Again, and we'll try to put that in there. Just go ahead and ask for the URLs, and I'll gather them all and put them in a handy dandy little spot for you. You go to that author guide, and there are manuscript types, and then you can find under each manuscript type, you can find the checklist. So if you're going to go through the process, might as well print that out and have it available to look at to make sure that you're kind of checking all those boxes as you go through your process. So after the reviewers have read the manuscript and prepared the reviews, they send the comments and recommendations to the ERB chair, who then decides what to do. So here are the possible outcomes. They can reject it, which is unusual. It doesn't mean the manuscript's not good and shouldn't be published. Some manuscripts may be suitable for a particular journal, but not suitable for another journal, and not suitable for the ASRT audience. And the idea may not be original, the information may be of limited value, or the manuscript may include flawed research designs or methods, which are all things that can happen to the best of us, I suppose. Even if the manuscript is rejected, the authors will receive comments that they can use to revise it for publication in another journal, or to redo their study and maybe start from scratch or almost from scratch. The most common recommendation is for revisions, and that can be extensive or simple. In most cases, manuscripts that have been requested to be revised are eventually accepted for publication. Authors are given 3 months to complete the revisions, but they can ask the ERB chair for additional time. After revisions are made, authors again submit the manuscript through the electronic submission system, along with a letter describing how they addressed each revision. We'll go a little bit over that a little bit later on in the presentation. The ERB chair is available to answer any questions, help the authors through the process. After a manuscript is accepted, the ASRT journals look it over. So that's after the revision process. The ASRT journals take a look at it and ensure that it is in American Medical Association style, or AMA style. And they look at several other factors and then send it to the authors to ensure the changes are correct. Manuscripts are typically published in the order they are accepted, and it takes about 6 to 12 months. When an article is published, the author receives a complimentary copy of the journal, and authors who write and publish peer-reviewed articles can also receive continuing education credit. The amount of the credit can vary. So that's a whole other thing. We're not necessarily going to get into that right now. Just giving you more of an overview. One important thing to remember is that preparation will help you achieve success in writing. So this is kind of now that we've done kind of the background, the overview of what it's all about, and how this whole process works. These are just writing tips. Remember to have a plan before sitting down to write. Make sure you know your topic well, and have reviewed all the literature you can get your hands on. Have an outline prepared and know the type of manuscript you will write. We've already gone over how, let's talk about what you need to do before you start writing, during the writing process, and once you've completed the first draft. So before you write, you need to come up with an idea. It can be anything from a vague direction or something more concrete, but you've got to start somewhere. Read the literature on your topic. Whether you have a great topic or something you aren't sure about, reading what others have written will help you refine your ideas. You might find that your topic is not unique, or your idea needs to be revised to identify specific gaps you found in the literature, or that you found a better direction. Whatever you choose, make sure it can sustain your interest for a long time. Next, ask yourself 2 questions. So what, and who cares? You might have found a topic that you feel is compelling, but is it really important? How will you finish your finished manuscript affect practice? The who cares question is equally important. Who is your audience? Know who your audience is and why your topic is important to them. That'll keep your writing focused. For example, if you're interested in writing whether technologists prefer to wear blue scrubs or green scrubs, it would likely not pass the so what or the who cares test. You might care because technologists at your facility argue over the color of scrubs, but overall, it would not have a big impact. However, if you examined how scrubs affect pediatric patients, then it might have an impact on practice. Pediatric facilities might want to know that a certain color of scrub had a positive impact on pediatric patients, and another color caused them to have anxiety. The anatomy of a manuscript, and this is also good for your for developing an outline and a first draft. So before you get started, before I get started, I want you to know that this is just a general overview, and will help you develop an outline. But it's applicable to most manuscripts. But you should be sure to check the author guide, once again, asrt.org/author guide, for specific manuscript you're working on. The first page should include the title of the manuscript, the author's names, contact information for corresponding to the author, including an email address, and any acknowledgement of financial support or grants that were provided to assist the research. Next is the abstract, which is a brief overview of the article that includes the purpose, methods, research, discussion, and conclusion. 1 to 2 sentences for each of those is enough, and it should be 150 to 200 words total. The pro tip is to write the abstract after the entire manuscript is completed, because you will be able to summarize all of those components at the end rather than the beginning. The introduction is a really important part because it provides an overview and any pertinent background information about the topic of the manuscript. Define the problem you'll address in the manuscript, why it's relevant to medical imaging and radiation therapy. And then the methods section describes how the research was conducted. Not a step-by-step guide, but there should be enough information for the reader to judge the merit of the work. The results section should work out a way to present all this information in a logical order, which is important for all types of writing. Thinking critically about the logical order and the way that information should be presented to your audience is a very important step. This information should be presented without any kind of interpretation. The interpretation is reserved for the discussion section, and that section refers to what everything that's presented earlier in the manuscript, but nothing in addition to that. And it will help people build a new understanding of the topic and its implications. So it's kind of your insights as you go forward. Um, so yeah. The I apologize. You know what? I misspoke. I should have said the results section. So the results section is without interpretation. And the discussion section, you talk about, oh, I'm sorry. You also include the limitations of your study in the discussion section. And that should be anything that, that is strong about your study, but also things that can be improved in the future. And the reference list includes the references that are cited in the body of the manuscript. References are listed in the order they appear in the manuscript, and the ASRT scholarly journals follow the American Medical Association style, AMA style. So it's different from the rest of our publications, which all follow Associated Press style. And the Associated Press style is not necessarily something that I, as the scanner editor, expect anybody to memorize, but being kind of familiar with the way news articles are written and the style that they're in does help for the way that those should be submitted to scanner. AMA style has some significant differences, and because these journals are so, or the journals are so involved, it's really nice to get to nail the AMA style when you're writing your manuscript. The author guide, again, has, that's asrt.org/author guide, has a condensed version of the AMA rules that's really handy to look at. If you have tables and figures and boxes that make data easier for the reader to digest, that comes at the end. But you'll refer to those in the text of the manuscript where appropriate. And then it'll all be kind of put together behind the scenes after everything is done and you have a final draft. So before you have your final draft, the first step is to write the first draft, which is probably the most difficult step, I think, in any writing process, is sitting down at looking at blank page or blank section and then figuring out what to put in it. It's essential to complete it early, and you'll likely want to revise it after it's ready. So don't treat it like something that's precious. Just kind of get it out there. That's my advice. Go back and reread it again a few days later and find things that you want to change, and then maybe go for another round of editing later on after that. It's always good to write, read, reread, rewrite, and go through that process a few times and just think critically about it. You can use a computer to identify grammatical, spelling, and punctuation capitalization errors, but you need to carefully read what you wrote and think about what you wrote to recheck everything, including numbers, proper nouns, facts, tables, figures. Just go through and read, reread, check again, double check. Another area to examine is cliches and stereotypes. Don't include phrases like "what goes around comes around," or all the stereotypes about all editors being extremely handsome. That's, I think, my only joke in this entire presentation, so enjoy that. As you revise your draft, read it critically. Beyond grammar and sentence structure, consider whether all your points are well supported. There are ways you can improve the support. It's a good opportunity to reread some of the literature and kind of dive back into that, refamiliarize yourself. And that also goes actually for scanner articles. I'm just kind of interject that in there. That if you write a scanner article and you have some sort of support, rereading it, thinking about it, trying to poke holes in it, in your support, and think about whether anybody would care about that, or it's interesting, or if it really supports what you're saying, is important, and not to leave just kind of dangling unsupported ideas out there. So that also applies to scanner, which is nice. You might find that while some words, sentences, or phrases made perfect sense when you first wrote them, when you reread them later, they're less clear. So look for areas that are vague or unclear and rewrite those sections. Specific to scientific writing, it should be free from redundancy. So look for words that are repetitive or unnecessary. You can delete these words without changing the meaning, then go ahead and do it. Like an actual fact, you just say it's a fact. And that also goes for scanner. The space is limited and people's attention spans are short, so you want to get to the point as quickly as possible. So, mhm. The next, I want to talk about whether or not your topic is appropriate. If your topic is appropriate and you submitted an excellent draft, you'll probably receive some recommendations. So this is an opportunity for you to strengthen the manuscript. But if you're unsure about what's being requested, you can contact the ERB chair to ask for clarification. And the ERB chair is there for you, throughout the entire process. Um, you can, as you write the revisions, be sure to also write your letter at the same time. That'll usually save you time and also help you keep track of all the revisions. And that's your chance to kind of explain your revisions. And also, if you don't include revisions, it's also a chance for you to say why you didn't. There may be more than one round, but that is often a sign that the manuscript is still, it's still in the process, you're still in the game. So just keep after it. That's the one of the keys to writing is just keep going and don't be discouraged. If you have any questions, I am here to help. I think the entire ASRT staff is eager to help anyone with questions, and we are, really grateful to everyone who volunteers and everyone who decides to write for ASRT. So I have a few little clues here for how to get in touch with us. I can also provide you guys with anyone specific and their contact information. And it's also available at the website, asrt.org/publications. And here are a few resources for you. I can also copy those into the chat if y'all are interested, and go ahead and do that now. But now that I'm kind of gone over all of that, I do want to say before I close, I wanted to talk a little bit about writing for Scanner. The process of writing for Scanner just really involves writing me an email, like I said, lross@asrt.org. And then I can, and then just say what your idea is or where you're at. And I have resources specific to each kind of situation that I've encountered. So I can tailor those to you and help you get on your way. And it is kind of a long process to get published in Scanner. So that's one thing that I want to make clear in the beginning. And there's also an editing process. So the editing process is more of you send in your draft after I've given you the materials, and then I'll look it over, make some changes, have another editor look at it and make sure that it looks all right. And then if there's technical parts that I want to have an RT look at, I'll go ahead and send those off to the RT and make sure that we're all on the same page. And then usually, they're 400 words, so those are pretty short and snappy. Pays $100 upon publication. So yeah, and most people really enjoy the process. You get to put a little byline in there. A lot of times, if you send in a headshot, you get that printed alongside that, and it's also a little bit more free. I mean, those two questions, the so what and who cares, they absolutely apply to Scanner as well. So I want you all to think about those questions, but we can also get to the so what and who cares based on a little bit of communication. And then one of the things that I do at the end of every one of the processes is I ask people if they want to ask a question for the ASRT RAD Position podcast, which is actually truly excellent. I got to say, the production values are really high, and the people behind it who are working behind the scenes are dedicated and hardworking individuals. I know them personally, um, and um, and I think that the segment where Melissa Pergola and her guest will answer the questions are actually some of my favorite parts because they allow ASRT members to just ask her directly something that's on their mind, something about the organization, something about the profession, something that's relevant to the things that everybody who's a member, I believe, is passionate about. So with that, I'd like to pass it over. Going to
Oh no, you can leave your screen up.
just leave it up.
Yep.
Okay, well, I want to pass it over to Kim now.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Lee. That was very informative. So we're just gonna change lanes from what we print to a podcast. Yeah, yay! So applause for Lee. So the Rad Position podcast. This podcast is just a way for our organization to connect with you guys and to give you guys a voice, to educate you, to inform you, and to keep you in the loop with whatever's going on in our profession. That includes advocacy, like all of it. So if you have not started listening to the Rad Position podcast, I highly recommend it because our guests are people who are super knowledgeable. It also includes the board of the ASRT. But Lee was correct. We have different segments throughout the episode, and one of the segments is called the We See You segment. And I want to hear from you guys. So that this is kind of a moment where you can be featured on this podcast. So all you have to do is send in a video, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then ask a question. And then what Melissa does is she answers it, and then it's often like it can be a topic or like something that can turn into a discussion with the other guest. So if you go to the next slide, Lee, there is an example that we can watch so you guys kind of have an idea of what I'm looking for. Is it working?
Oh,
Oh,
there we go.
okay.
I'm Kristen Weinstraub, and I love the podcast. I would love to know, Dr. Pergola, what is your most meaningful or impactful patient interaction that you've had in your professional career?
Wow, I think I would say I had worked at Duke University Medical Center after I finished my radiography training, and I worked weekends there while I was going back to school for my degree. And I had a young patient who had a chronic illness that used to come in quite often, and he wasn't really verbal. He wasn't fully nonverbal, but he didn't speak a whole lot. And I got to see him weekend after weekend for a while. And I'm probably going to get upset because those who know me, I'll like drop a tear in the drop of a hat. But one time I came in and his parents had always said, "This is Melissa." And I came in one time and he actually got excited and he said my name. And wow, thanks for asking me that and making me get all upset. But I think for me as a medical imaging professional, I know that my technical competence is important, but those interactions and those connections with patients are so significant in what we do. So thank you for that question. I had not thought about that in quite a long time.
So that's just a little example. So I do a lot of interviews for the podcast at AGCOD, our annual meeting. I'm sorry, that's our little abbreviation. So just to get a chance to interact with you guys. But if you want to send in these segments yourself, all you have to do is just film yourself with your phone. And like I said, little bio about you. If you want to go to the next slide, Lee, it'll show kind of like the form on the
You,
website.
you want me to hit play?
Actually, no. So the next slide, we
Oh, wait.
just,
Oh, here. There we go. Sorry.
you're good. Okay, so there is a form on asrt.org/rad position. It is made so easy for you guys. I get the email directly. So just include your name, your email, your video question, or if you guys don't like being on camera, that's okay too. You can just do a written question. But we love to get to know you because this is a segment that's just like about you guys. So if you want to just tell a little bit of your story, maybe why you wanted to get involved with the profession, we love that sort of thing. We do have a student-based podcast that is going to be in the works. I'm so excited. It's going to be starting next year. Really, where that'll be the focus is you guys, students. So just keep an eye out for that. That'll be in the works. But yeah, I really encourage you guys to send us your videos. We would love to hear from you. Same with social media. I also run our social media for the ASRT. So if you guys want to feature something or a photo or a meeting, please just email me and I would love to add it to our social media calendar. So you would just go to just email me at kgaller. I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys just have it at asrt.org. Okay, galler@asrt.org. So I would love to hear from you guys. So it doesn't just have to be for the podcast. If there's anything you just want to give your affiliate a shout out, we would love to see it. And that's all for me.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Let's see. I'm adding a few things to the chat. So let's see. We have author guide. And another really important one was in the roadmap. So if you go to asrt.org/roadmaps, you can go and find the author roadmap, and that has all the information that we've talked about here. Yeah, I think, oh, and asrt.org/publications. Thank you, Kim. I don't know if I said thank you, but thank you so much, Kim.
Of course.
All right, so now we'll do the Q&A session. So I want to have at least 3 questions for Kim or I. Maybe that'll be our goal if we can have at least 3. I have a question for you guys. Is this a group of? It looks like a lot of students out there. So tell me if there are any of y'all RTs yet, or first year, second year students. You can put it in the chat. Just let us know.
A lot of first years. Student.
First year or second year? First year. First year.
How exciting! I'm so excited for you guys.
Okay, and then we have all of your contact information, so we know who you are now. And awesome, thank you guys. Had any of you guys considered? Oh, awesome. Here's a question. Other additional modalities you or Kim have learned? We just started our program. So I want to make something clear is that Kim and I are not RTs. Kim's expertise is being an expert in all things video and social media and making things look fabulous and fun and keeping everybody excited and pumped and amped, which she does exceptionally well. And my expertise is in English. You may not have noticed that my expertise is in English because of the way that I butcher it, but that is my writing. I've been at ASRT for 10 years, and I've picked up some things, but no one would ever want me taking their x-ray, their radiogram.
We got a question in the chat. How did you guys get into the role or writing for ASRT? Lee, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. I started off with the Air Force. I was writing for a newspaper, well, just immediately before I worked for ASRT. I was writing, editing, and managing a newspaper for the Kirtland Air Force Base, which was really fun. My first day on the job, I got to see one of the airmen be blasted in the face with pepper spray. And it was part of their training for being able to use pepper spray. So those were the police who go around the air base and enforce the laws in order to carry pepper spray, they had to be shot with pepper spray. Fortunately, it's not the same situation for them to carry a firearm, but it was great. I took some pictures of this young woman getting with tears streaming down her face and being held up by a couple of other airmen. And that was a great job. It was really fun. And eventually I wanted to, kind of move on and advance, and ASRT looked like a great opportunity, and it turns out that it was, and I've been here ever since. Interested in the Air Force?
Nice. I started just in social media. Like when I was in college, I got a communications degree, and obviously times have changed since 2013. So social media was not on the agenda then, but now it is. So with my degree, I've worked at makeup, piping, like I've literally done it all for social media, as you know, because every brand has a page. So when I moved back to New Mexico, I saw a listing at the ASRT and I was like, what is the ASRT? And looked into it, understood that people who give x-rays are not nurses, they're not doctors, and I had no idea. So just seeing the passion behind our members, all of you guys, like all I want to do is make sure your voice is heard. So like I have this super big excitement behind what I do and educating the public on your roles within a hospital setting or wherever. So yeah, I kind of went all over and then landed here, and I'm so happy to be here. So more podcasts, more social media posts. We're working on a Be Seen campaign, just explaining to the public like who you are and so they can recognize you. So yeah, that's just a little story about me.
I am to answer. So we have another question, and I think for you, Kim, maybe that would be your favorite, post or something like that, because you do tons and tons of stuff. You tell a lot of stories. My favorite was a sister. I believe her name was Beatrice. She was a nun who was among the early technologists. And I don't know if you guys know, you probably do know, the technologists started off in the 1920s, 1940 to 1940s. Around then, they were there were a lot of nuns who were technologists. So she was a technologist who was active in the 1940s, and she did barium enemas and all kinds of different procedures with really old technology. It was awesome. But she was turning 100, so we wanted to do an interview with her, and I couldn't just pick up the phone and have it work out. So I actually called a member, and he drove across Minnesota to go and do an interview with her, recorded it, and sent it to me. And the interview, I listened to it probably 20 times because it was so heartwarming just hearing the two technologists interact with each other and talk about. They were both educators, and they both had close to 100% graduation rates and placement rates for their programs. And they just bonded. It's people from two completely different walks of life, and you could hear it that the profession had just brought them together. It was fantastic. So that was one of my favorites. But there are a lot. I like so many of the stories that we do because they're a lot of times really personal to the people who are telling them. We have some inspirational stories about people who have worked really hard to earn their RT. They don't necessarily pass the registry on the first attempt, and have to go back, or they'll talk about patient care and a particular patient who somehow touched them, or something they learned on the job. And it's fascinating how many you think that just shooting out x-rays, or taking using ultrasound technology, or doing radiation therapy would be this, there'd be an endpoint to the information you can know about these things, or what can be experienced on the job. But it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going. I mean, we recently talked about the way that rural hospitals are trying to survive by getting together and hiring mobile medical imaging. so that they don't have to take up office space. And the creative ways that people are facing their challenges, which there are a ton of challenges. So yeah, so I think that's my answer.
Very nice. Okay, I have to talk about Bill for mine. So I don't know if you guys have checked the YouTube channel and our social media pages for this reason, but Bill is our director of our museum and archives at the ASRT, and we do affiliate highlights. So we did do you guys a couple months ago, but he's gone back to these affiliates inceptions and photographs from the early 1900s, and it's just really great to see and to hear about his passion and just all the artifacts within the museum. So I encourage you guys to check those out because it's really informative.
Oh, Bernice, that's so nice of you to say. All right, so we got at least 3 questions. We did it. Yay! All right, thank you guys so much for taking the time to learn about publication and the publication process. Hopefully that was informative and it didn't breeze over anything too much. I have another ask for you guys though. Can we get a few ideas out there? Maybe if somebody was thinking about writing, what you might write about. Let's try for 3 of those. We'll get 3 of those and then I'll let you guys go.
Yeah, hit us up in the chat.
Yeah, hit us up in the chat. New tech experience. Very good.
I like
Thank
that.
you, Angela. It's a weird feeling. I feel like I'm almost on like a podcast or something, kind of hosting,
know.
like co-hosting with you.
Ooh, that's good.
Ooh, study tips for the boards from RTs. Ooh,
Mhm.
do you mean RTs who are educators or study tips for the boards from RTs who are just out there? I wonder.
Ooh, I like the
That's a
days in
good
a
idea.
life of, so all the different modalities. Again, the Be Seen campaign, you guys, we're doing all of them. All of them are getting their own commercial. They're going to be on
Mhm.
streaming services. They're all over YouTube. We're promoting them so people can see them. So like we're really trying hard to do that on social media and as well as TV.
That's a great idea, though. I could look into that.
I like that topic.
More modalities. There are so many too. The hybrid modalities. There's so much. Um, yes, I'll share my presentation PowerPoint file. Let me see. I wonder if it's too big to share.
So we got another one. I would say maybe personal experience from worldwide RTs, new and experienced RTs. Love that. Again, referencing back to the podcast, we just came out with the newest episode, and it's just RTs and the alternative pathways. So there's not just one way to be an RT, and there's just not one thing that you can do. So we talked to someone who was in veterinary care. We talked to someone who was in sports medicine, so he would x-ray like NFL players, hockey players. They had like a facility in Florida where he would just do it. They'd like pull the people off the ice to check if they broke a bone, if so they could go back out. So like go check out that new episode because we talk about that. So you can like take your degree in whatever path you want and what you're passionate about.
Awesome.
We got one, Lee, that says, I would like to write about the impact of AI on our modality. That is a big hot topic right now.
What specifically do you want to know about? I
It
mean,
looks like how
do you want to?
sorry, Lee, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just curious about that because AI has a lot of effects. It has effects on workflow and it has effects on image quality, but it
Yeah.
also people can create images using AI for good and bad purposes. But they can but there have been studies about people using them for research studies that they create medical images for to train AI So they use AI to train AI to be better at looking at medical images. So, I mean, there's so many aspects to AI, and it's just exploding. We could also talk about the hype of AI, though, too. I mean, a lot of it is just, people trying to push their product out there and then maybe overselling it just a little bit. I cannot, you know what? I'm going to give you my email, and I will email you if you want the PowerPoint presentation. Email me. I'll put it in here again because it's not going in. I think the file's too big.
Oh, I like the last one, Lee. How services are changing image quality and advancing imaging with the least radiation exposure to patient.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you know what? Sandia Labs just wrote to us too about changing or about a way that they can take the anode and then make a crystalline structure on top of it, but use different materials for the anode for an X-ray tube. And then that changes the focal point to make it sharper and also changes the X-rays so that they're at different frequencies. And you can almost do like spectrography. I'm probably butchering that word, but so you can see different densities using the different energies, the different wavelengths of the X-ray. So yeah, so we're gonna put that in Scanner coming up in the next issue, not the December January issue. That'll be in there. And I want to talk to some of the researchers who are doing that work. But yeah, even if you just look at some of the research that's out there on the image receptors or just the way that images are acquired it's mind-blowing stuff that people are putting forward, and you might see those in your clinics at some point, once they get into production. So we're going to do a story on RSNA, the Radiological Society of North America. So I'm going to go there to Chicago and see some of the new equipment that they have out, and that'll also include AI, which one of the interesting ways, I think, and I want to see if they have anything else on this, but one of the interesting ways they're using AI is just for service to medical imaging equipment. So a lot of the equipment that you guys will be using is constantly pinging out all this information that no human can really digest, but AI can make recommendations about changing different components of the systems so that you don't have a day down and you get ahead of any kind of repairs that you need. So the AI question is way too broad to answer. There's so much going on. But yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to talk to you guys, you students who are, you guys are gonna come into a brave new world. It's gonna be wild. So
you're the
I'm
future.
excited for you. Yeah.
You're the future. We need you.
I shouldn't say brave new world. I misspoke there. Sorry. Oh, anyway, thank you guys so much. I think I'm going to sign off though. I'm going to go home and see my family. So
it was great talking with you guys, and please reach out to us. We really want to hear from you. We just want you guys to feel seen and know that we support you at the ASRT.
Well said. Thanks, Kim.
Bye, guys.
Lee and Brian. Yeah,
Thank you
so much for joining us. We really appreciate
so much.
the presentation.
Thank you guys. That was wonderful.
It was great.
And then for students, our meeting is October 30th on Thursday at 7 p.m. again. So we hope to see all of you guys there. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Take care.